And welcome in. Happy Saturday. It is time for Last Call here, powered by WagerTalk.com as we get ready for the final regular season week in college football. Week 13, plenty of big games actually coming up here. A lot of conference championships and bowling, shall we say, is on the line here today. So we're going to talk about a couple of those games. We do have college basketball also underway. We got a few prop bets, one in the NFL, one in the NHL that we're going to break down for you. And we're going to do it with three of the finest and most upstanding gentlemen you will ever meet here at WagerTalk.com. Well, let's make that two. I didn't see Bryan Power was here. So Andy Lang certainly in the house, as well as Ralph Michaels. They will join us, but didn't realize Bryan Power was here. Looks like I drew the short straw. How are you, Bryan? Always a pleasure, man. You ready to roll here today?
Always a pleasure, Joe. I couldn't think of a better way to start the weekend than with you, old buddy, old pal. Let's get it going.
I got you. Let's start with some college football here, because I believe we're going to go out west here in both these games for you. So let's talk about this Apple Cup. Washington taking on Washington State. Now, we just watched Oregon dismantle Oregon State last night here. What happens in this Battle of Washington?
Yeah, not only did Oregon destroy Oregon State last night, Joe, but the favorites really had their way on Friday, did they not? All those top teams that didn't need to win by style points necessarily, they all won by style points. So this is kind of scary based on what happened yesterday. But I'm going to take the points with Washington State here. They are 5-6, need to win to get bowl eligible. They are big underdogs facing an unbeaten Washington team, obviously, that needs to keep winning to make the college football playoff. But all Washington needs to do, Joe, as I talked about yesterday on the college football show, was win. They don't need to win by margin. This is a team that as long as they win this week and next week, they will be in the college football playoff. But they're facing their rival here, who, like I said, has a chance at bowl eligibility. Thus, I'm expecting a strong effort from Wazoo. This is a team that beat Wisconsin, beat Oregon State earlier this year. At that point, I thought they were a little overvalued, came in, took UCLA against them when they visited the Rose Bowl. That turned into a 6-game losing streak for the Cougs, but they needed a win last Friday, and they got it 56-14 over Coach Prime and Colorado in Pullman. That tells me they still care. And you look at the 6 losses for Wazoo, Joe. 5 have been 2 touchdowns or fewer. That's obviously key because it would be inside this number. Washington's a team that has been living dangerously, outgained by Stanford, outgained by Arizona State, and then also outgained last week in a torrential downpour at Oregon State. Just 1 win in conference play by more than 10 points, and that was a game against Cal where they got 2 non-offensive touchdowns. Just too many points in a rivalry game, Joe, I think. Dog or pass for me in the Apple Cup, and I probably am going to wind up taking the dog, in fact.
Oh, all right. Dog or pass there. Maybe, again, doesn't really matter for Washington. Just win and you're in, and that's kind of the approach I'm thinking they're going to take. All right, so good stuff there. We also have another game out west here, not exactly national championship implications here, but we do have Cal taking on UCLA in this battle. And what are we doing here with old Chip? Is the seat hot? What's going on here?
Yeah, talked about this game on the Power 5, Joe. UCLA is my sell high team for this week. You talk about Chip Kelly possibly being on the hot seat. Well, he cooled the seat down a little bit, at least last week, beating rival USC with that win. The Bruins now bowl eligible. And that's what Cal's trying to do here. They're another 5-6 team, just like Washington State. I talked about a 5-6 team getting points. Cal has won 2 straight. That tells me they still care. And we always look for a team when, we talk about the sell high spot on the Power 5. That's just a bit overvalued. And I think it's UCLA this week because is Chip Kelly still a lame duck? Do these players want to play for him? Unlike Washington, the team we faded in the first game, UCLA has nothing to play for here. They're going to a mid-tier bowl. As you mentioned, this has no national championship implications. That has no Pac-12 championship game implications. To me, it's about a desperate team in Cal wanting to get 6 wins and UCLA in a major letdown spot with possibly a lame duck coach. So I will be taking the points with Cal here. Late night Pac-12 after dark.
I love that. Little late night degenerate special, but it's not going to deter you from fading UCLA. Can you tell me the wheel of quarterbacks? Does that make any sense whatsoever? We also have, don't forget, guys, an opportunity here. If you're just joining us for the first time on Last Call, we show up here every Saturday and we try to get some last-minute questions answered for you guys on any of the games that are on the board or coming up. Obviously, a huge weekend in the NFL. So hit that subscribe button and hit that like button if you're joining us live. You guys know the routine. Smash that like button in the chat room and drop any questions you have for Mr. Bryan Power. We've got the prop god Andy Lang showing up, and the pen is in the house here. Ralph Michaels also coming up here to talk a little college football, college basketball. So we got a little something for everyone here today. Let us start with another question here, Bri, right off the bat with Rise and Grind. Wants to know, with UNLV trying to get a rocking crowd for the game today at Allegiant, is it a letdown spot as they're taking on San Jose State? And really, this is probably the Mountain West championship game, but it's not really, but it's going to pretty much decide, I think, whichever one of these two teams wins, I think wins it all. So what are you thinking here in this game with UNLV?
Yeah, this is a really tough call. It did not make my card. I kind of ruled it out pretty early in the week. Look, the Mountain West has kind of been thrown into disarray with Air Force's late season swoon. This was a team that looked to be just, flying right to the championship. Fresno State was there. They collapsed too. And then the San Jose State team, Joe, things weren't looking good, but they're back from the dead. I wouldn't want to fade them right now. At the same time, UNLV is one of the best point spread teams in the country, so I don't exactly want to fade them either. Unfortunately, I wish I had some sort of strong take on this one, but it's an easy pass for me. It's two teams that are playing well, and I don't want to fade either of them right now. Therefore, I'm not on it.
I know Marco, our good friend Marco D'Angelo, this was his best bet on this week's Bet On It, and you guys can find that certainly here on the WagerTalk page because he was pretty adamant about who was going to win this game coming up between UNLV and San Jose State. And I'm sure Ralph Michaels will chime in on his thoughts in this game as well. But we do have, of course, a noon kickoff with a question. I knew what they were coming in. And it's OSU, Ohio State, team you're familiar with there, taking, oh, no, that's right. You were with that other Ohio school. That's right. Sorry about that. Talk to me about this Michigan-Ohio State game. The Ohio State money seems to be rolling in at this point, Brian. I think it's down to 3 now pretty much across the board. So 3's here as the hook is pretty much gone. 46 is the total here. What were you thinking about in this game? Anything?
Yeah, first off, Ohio U top 5 in the party rankings every year that I attended that school. Didn't see Ohio State in that list, just so you know. So that's one thing we are ahead of. But look, I think Ohio State's a public dog here, Joe. You mentioned that the money's flowing in on them. I agreed with the opening number. I thought 4.5 was right. I think Michigan's a little bit better. They're at home, obviously. Now the Jim Harbaugh thing, hard to handicap. Earlier this week on WagerTalk TV, I gave out the under in this game. I know we've seen a slew of overs produced by this rivalry. It's either 9-0 or 8-0-1 the last 9 meetings, depending on your closing number. But the two best units on the field here at noon Eastern are going to be the respective defenses. You look at the offenses. Ohio State is real boom or bust with Marvin Harrison Jr. If Michigan can find a way to limit him, I think Kyle McCord's going to struggle. On the flip side, J.J. McCarthy the last 2 weeks has only attempted 32 passes and thrown for 200 yards. That's total, not one game. In 2 games, he's thrown for just over 200 yards. They're running the ball a lot because McCarthy's under a lot of heat behind an offensive line that's a little banged up. I don't think running the ball is necessarily going to work on Ohio State. This is a defense that gives up 3.3 yards per carry only, Joe. So under is my lean for the game. You mentioned Bet On It earlier. I watched that program earlier this week, a very popular program. Oh. Some guy, he recommended the first half under. I would co-sign that. It doesn't surprise me because the guy who gave that first half under out is a very good friend of mine.
Yeah, really. We'll have to ask him that. Yeah, mostly because I just I don't want to have to sweat out the second half. I'd rather just drink.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so I'm going to pull out one thing on this game before we let you go, and I'm going to pull out my pen because this is straight out of Ralph Michaels' toolbox. You guys ready for this number? I just came across this. So Ohio State is now 16-1 against the number as an underdog of 3 points or more since 2009. But since 1980, this battle of unbeatens meeting in the final regular season game, it's only happened 6 times. And you want to guess how good the underdog has been in those 6 occasions there, Brian? You got a guess?
5-1.
Boom. That's it. 5-1 straight up, 6-0 against the number. So although it doesn't happen often, the pen. Yes, the pen should be there for a second. All right, let's get the promo back up there. Brian, we appreciate the time as always, my friend. It's good to see you. Always a best of luck with, I don't know, all of what you got coming up today, which I hope is nothing but a bag full of winners. Is that fair enough?
Well, thank you, Joe. That's very nice of you to send me off.
Let's mute that. That's enough of that. Okay, good stuff there. Pleasure to see you there. We are, again, going to remind you guys that we do have a great opportunity for you to partner up. If you want with Bryan Power, with Andy Lang, who is coming up, and Ralph Michaels, a great Thanksgiving promo that encompasses the next 3 months. How would you like 90 days of all access for less than $47 a week? All access means all plays, all sports, your favorite handicapper. Right now, you can take advantage of this through Cyber Monday. So whether it be Ralph, whether it be Andy, whether it be Brian, any of the WagerTalk handicappers, you guys have yourself an opportunity to hop on board with them, and including the one and only Mr. I believe we've got Andy Lang in the house here. And Andy, always a pleasure to see you, my friend, here. And this also counts for you, I believe, right? So you, too, have an opportunity to be able to get in here and hop on with Andy Lang. And, Andy, what do you got going on here this week? Anything? Oh, amazing.
Of course, it's
there you go. Go ahead.
It's India. I was just saying, it's, I'm wearing my sweatshirt, getting ready for the Big Ten game of the day, Indiana versus Purdue.
Oh, yeah.
So buckle up for that one. It's 29 degrees in West Lafayette. What do I have going on today? We've got our NCAA team total that's up 9-3 on that one for the year. So we're really excited about that. It goes off at noon. And we also have an NHL play that is up. We've got several parlays that are pending for Sunday. So lower volume today, actually. So we're just trying to pick and choose our best spots, quality over quantity. But go grab that NHL play. But honestly, more important, Joe, is to take advantage of the 7-day special while you still can. That's what we've been promoting all week. Great chance to get 7 days at a really nice discount of $69. That way you get 7 days. So you can see how the handicapper does the write-ups and their betting style and things like that. So that's what I would encourage everyone to take advantage of today.
All right. So, Andy, the prop god, you've got a couple of props for us here today. We'll start in the NHL because I believe you got a game here tonight. I'm a little shocked that you'd be fading this team here a little bit. So talk to us about a NHL prop on the ice here today.
Oh, these poor San Jose Sharks. However, they've been really good to us if you fade the San Jose Sharks. So we're just going to keep doing that. And this team total under 2.5 is a beautiful play today. This is the lowest scoring team in the league. 1.5 goals per season is their average. 1.5. Vancouver, the team they're playing, is the 4th best defensive team in the league. They only allow 2.4 goals per game. And when Vancouver wins, Joe, they only allow 1.2 goals per game. So when they win, they just hammer teams and they do not allow goals. And Vancouver is minus 270 to win this game. Both these teams played yesterday. San Jose went to overtime and then a shootout. And these teams played on Monday. Vancouver won 3-1. We've already seen San Jose only get 1 goal against Vancouver. And the crazy number, the San Jose Sharks under 2.5 team total. This play is 17-3 this season. Oh, we could have just not researched anything, just played the San Jose Sharks under 2.5. we'd be 17-3 in NHL. I'm 14-7 in NHL, so no shame in that. But yeah, anytime we got a 17-3 trend in the NHL, that has my attention. We'll play it again today.
Oh, that sounds a lot like if it ain't broke, don't friggin' fix it there with the San Jose Sharks. Just keep cashing them tickets. That's what we're talking about here. Also, Andy, we'll switch to a game tomorrow. In fact, I believe the Sunday night game, you might have a prop we want to take a look at here. What's going on with the Ravens and the Chargers?
Say it one more time, Joe. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Just fade this Chargers secondary. This is one of the worst secondaries, not just in the NFL this year, but of all time. Every quarterback, Joe, every single quarterback has gone over their passing total. We're just going to keep playing it. Lamar Jackson over his passing yards. The Chargers allow 291.6 yards passing per game. The second worst is Tampa at 270. The second worst team is over 21 yards a game less than them. Listen to some of these quarterbacks and some of the passing numbers. So Zach Wilson, who may not even be a New York Jet at this point, he was inactive. He threw for 263 yards against this team. Tyson Bagent threw for 232 yards against this team. Aiden O'Connell threw for 238 yards against the Chargers. And just last week, Jordan Love's posted passing total was 226.5. He just squeaked over by throwing for 322 yards. This is a Chargers team that if you watch their games, the wide receivers are wide open, a lot of yards after catch. So let's just keep fading the Chargers secondary. Let's take Lamar Jackson over his passing total.
Whoa, I'm sensing a theme there with this Chargers defense. I don't know. I might be a little slow, but I think there's an opportunity to, Brandon Staley. Unfortunately, I lost my bet of him being the first coach this year fired from the squad, but nope, that went to Josh McDaniels. All right, Andy, so we've got tons of games coming up, obviously, over the next couple of days. You got a full card here coming up in the NFL here. We did also see, and I would encourage you guys, again, if you're new and just joining us here on WagerTalk TV, make sure you hit the subscribe button because you get great content like Andy every Monday and Friday. He does prop it up, and him and Andrew McGinnis lay out the week's worth of props, Andy, and you guys have been crushing it on the show. And Monday and Friday, I understand there's maybe a play or two that you just gave out yesterday on the show, too, that guys might be interested in.
Yeah, when we're looking at NHL, I see we have a question in there about shots on goal prop. Yeah, I got a good one for you. Valerie Nichushkin has gone over in 8 straight games. It's a little bit juicy here. He's playing Calgary. Calgary gives up the 17th most shots on goal, and his shots on goal prop was 2.5. I mean, this guy's been flying over 3, 4, 4, 5, 5, 4, 3, 5. So a lot of shots on goal. You're going to want to check the rosters and make sure that he's still on the power play front line. But yeah, he's been firing the puck a lot, so I would absolutely take a look at that one. Haven't been doing very many shots on goal props. I've been staying closer to the points props, and players to not have points actually has been a really nice market for me. But that's a pretty good shots on goal prop for everybody.
All right, so we got a little something there for Andy there. Now that's 2 in the NHL with shots on goal prop. So the opportunity presenting itself across the board here today, guys, to hop on board with Andy. He mentioned, of course, not only the 7-day, but also the Cyber Monday special right now. How about 3 months of all access? You can get Andy every play, every prop, every sport, and I dare you to find somebody with a better winning record betting darts than Andy Lang. It does not exist, people, and that is what you get in an all-access package here. Any dart plays coming up this weekend there, Andy? Well,
we actually already cashed one this morning. We had Humphreys. We did. We had Listen, we were talking about this before. But the books put out these pretty soft lines on these big favorites, and right now we're leading up to the big World Championship tournament, and these are great tournaments to cash. This is very similar to the Kentucky Derby when you have all the lead-up horse races. into those. And there's Marco will tell you really good betting opportunities right there. So yeah, we had a 3% play this morning, no sweat. And these are not degenerate plays, guys. We follow darts, like we follow these betting markets. This is not. You're gonna hate this pun. This isn't just throwing something at the wall and hoping it sticks. But this is a market that you can exploit and you can have a good bankroll. What better way to wake up on a college football Saturday morning and know that you just cashed a 3% darts play?
Yes. Guys, I'm telling you, it's no joke here. Great opportunity to hop on board now through Cyber Monday. Take advantage. No coupon code needed. Just go to Andy's page and hit him up there at WagerTalk.com and hop on board. 90 days, guys. $47, less than $47 a week, really, over at WagerTalk.com. Andy, a big congrats also to you here. I know shout out regarding, I believe it was a Jordan Poole prop that has worked out. Said I was finally able to feed my family placing a Jordan Poole prop yesterday. Very nice stuff. What do you think? How do you recommend trying to get the breakout game for a player? I'm going to guess player there.
Oh, man. So what you're looking for is a couple things. You want a great matchup. So a team playing the Wizards who give up a ton of points. A team playing the Milwaukee Bucks who give up a ton of points. A team playing the San Antonio Spurs or the Detroit Pistons who've lost, I think combined they've lost something like 800 games in a row. But so you want to get a player that you think is going to get a lot of minutes in that game, and maybe he's come off of a couple of tough matchups, or maybe is that a bad shooting performance the last couple games. So you want to, the number one key though is you want to make sure they're playing a really bad team. So if you've got a player that's maybe coming off of playing like, maybe they played the Celtics and, they played the Knicks in a low scoring game, then they turn around and they're playing the Charlotte Hornets. The lines may be a little bit soft because the over-unders, as you know, Joe, in those like Knicks and Celtics games, what was the Knicks and Heat yesterday? 212? They played the Pacers. The Pacers and Hawks had an over-under of 252. So look for those high totals against teams that give up a lot of points, especially when they've just played a couple of tough teams. So that's how I'm looking to try and find a breakout.
Good stuff there. Yeah, love that. Jordan Poole, over 65 shots a game. Fantastic prop there. Andy, Mondays and Fridays on Prop It Up. Make sure you visit him on his page here today. Andy, best of luck with those plays here today. We'll see you again on Monday, my man. All right, guys. We are ready for the pen here. And I got the poor man's pen that I threw out. I can't wait to hear what he's got to say about my imprint. There it is. There is the pen. Ralph Michaels here. Ralph, what do you think about that stat here? My database may not go back as far as what you've got rolling there, but it's hard to believe that since 1980, only 6 teams face each other in the end of the regular season, and they were both undefeated here. It seems very one-sided with the underdog usually winning outright and covering.
Yeah, Joe, since 2006, it's only happened 3 times, and the other 2 times were both Ohio State and Michigan. So this is the 3rd time in 20 years that these are the only 2 teams that have met undefeated in Game 12.
That's absolutely crazy here. Plenty of college football here today, Ralph, and obviously you've got a game that might be off the radar, but it might include a triple option. It might include, I don't know who the hell's playing quarterback for Syracuse or what the hell the plan is moving forward, but they are taking on Wake Forest here today. It's not a very big line. I think 2.5 here with Q's. Are you confident that they go out on a winning note here?
Well, Joe, I want to bring up this. Q's is 5-6. Obviously, you got rid of Dino Babers, and reading the reports out of Syracuse, the players were shocked this happened. They really are a fan favorite, so that's something you have to look at. And I do want to mention this. While I'm going to look at the total, people talk about Game 5 teams, and I broke down this on Bet On It. And I just want to take a second, Joe, when we're talking about Bet On It. I want to wish a happy birthday to a great colleague and a wonderful friend. Kelly in Vegas' birthday is today. So a shout out to Kelly, who, of course, hosts my TNA segment. But teams that have 5 wins and are a home favorite. If you go to a bar and ask a bunch of people, is that a positive or a negative? I think people are going to say, oh, they're the home favorite. They're the better team. They have to win to get the bowl eligibility. But 5-win home favorites are only 41.9% against the spread. So that added pressure, plus having to win and cover, is actually a negative and not a positive. But I regress. Let's talk about this total. It is a low total. But when I went to the database, in game 12, when the lines are between the 12s, so you don't have a huge double-digit favorite, you don't have a huge double-digit dog, and there's a very low total of 44 or less, the under has actually occurred 71.4% of the time. And when we look at Syracuse and Wake Forest, when you have the under, you either want horrible offenses, great defenses, or a combination of, and as you said, you want a heavier run situation than pass. Obviously, with the clock rules now, the time goes by. So I am going to play first half under here. And when I look at this, you talked about Wake Forest quarterback injuries, multiple quarterback injuries. They're 3-6 over under the last 9. And in their 3 overs, they only scored 44 points. They've averaged 6.5 points and 196 yards per game the last 2. And in the last 4 games, because of their quarterback situations, they have run the ball 150 times and passed only 85, exactly what we're looking for. Syracuse's offense the last 4 weeks, again, Schrader out, you started running the ball. How's this for a stat line? A couple games ago against Pittsburgh, they ran the ball 66 times and threw the ball 8 times. So when you have that type of dynamic in a situation, they almost look like a service academy. The last 3 games combined, 138 rushes, 41 pass attempts. To me, I'm going under first half, 21.5. And while this is, like you said, an under the radar game, it's like Andy says, betting darts. If there's value in any game, it doesn't matter how big of a game it is. Under first half, 21.5, Syracuse and Wake Forest.
Yeah, I love that the hook's available in that one, Ralph, because it's a great blueprint and in all likelihood, something we've seen a lot from Syracuse here. Under the first half here, 21.5 is a great look. Now, we do have a college basketball game coming up later today out west. You're going to break down for us, but do tell the folks exactly what you got going on, because we mentioned the Cyber Monday deal all week long to take advantage. Hopping on board with you, what do we got available still coming up here Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Ralph?
5 college football games for today, and I'm just finalizing my college basketball card. That's all included. Number 1 this college basketball season, Joe, off to a 19-9, 68% chance. So the $69 7-day package is available through Sunday. The $5.99 90-day package is available through Cyber Monday. So short term, a little bit more expensive, but again, under $10 a day. And as you mentioned, the long-term package, a great discounted price through Cyber Monday.
Love it. Love it, guys. No reason not to hop on board. And don't forget, if you are new to us here at WagerTalk TV, hit that subscribe button. Obviously, nobody has more content than we do all throughout the week. Head-to-head matchups, Ralph's, of course, TNA segments all week long. Go ahead, hit that subscribe button. Become part of the WagerTalk TV family. And those of you joining us live on this Saturday, T-minus about 28 minutes until kickoff here with the noon slate. So you still have an opportunity to hop on board there with Ralph for those 5 college football plays he's got rolling today. But talk to me about college hoops here, because San Diego State, a team that many people thought it was a hell of a run last year. It came up a little bit short. But I got to tell you, I've seen this team a couple of times now. They're taking on Cal. They're pretty good again this year here, Ralph. What are we looking at in this matchup?
Yeah, Joe, but like often, I mean, they return a couple starters, so they have to redo. Brian Dutcher has to redo his defense, which he always does and always does well. But We saw Long Beach State shoot 50%. We saw Washington shoot 53.9%. You don't look at San Diego State Aztecs teams later in the year when they're playing conference opponents and see anywhere near 50% shooting. But in this spot, I do like them here. And the reason is really California's backcourt is depleted. You look at the Bears team, and the Bears, I think, had 3 wins last year. Listen, they were pathetic. They bring in Mark Madsen as the new head coach. But their first 3 games with Askew as point guard, they had 3, 13, and 5 turnovers. It's a total of 26 turnovers in 3 games. Askew has missed the last 3 games. They had 21 turnovers against a UTEP team, which isn't good on defense. 20 turnovers against Tulane, which isn't a team that's dominant on defense. And they were a 13-point favorite against Montana State, and they had 16 turnovers against Montana State. So the matchup in this game has me with Cal. So, San Diego State is a team that won the Las Vegas tournament, but they didn't look good doing it. They've actually failed to cover 3 of their last 4 games. They played great against St. Mary's. Then they played Washington again in Las Vegas a couple games ago, as I mentioned, shot 53% and just didn't have that defensive intensity. Now they had 6 days off between games. This game is in San Juan Capistrano, just north of San Diego. I think this is a great spot for them to re-amp up their ATS and their defense. But I do want to mention this with Cal. A very interesting dynamic. San Juan Capistrano hosted the SoCal Challenge Monday and Wednesday. And now this is in San Juan Capistrano for the SoCal Showcase. So California actually played in the same arena Monday, same arena Wednesday, and same arena Saturday, while San Diego State. So it's 2 different tournaments, the 2 games and this game. But it's like when teams in the NFL, when San Francisco would go east and play back-to-back East Coast teams, they stay east and they're in the same hotel, and you don't have distractions of visiting your family and paying bills, and it's a bonding experience. I could see that with Cal. I'm sure they stayed at the same hotel. You had Tuesday off to bond, then you play Wednesday, then you had Thursday and Friday off, and now you're playing Saturday. That's one hesitation I do have towards Cal. And when I look at the Bears this year, with those injuries they've completely surprised me. They played UTEP. They covered that game. They were a 3.5-point dog. They lost last second. Tulane, they had the lead in that game. They covered the game, but they lost in the last second. And while I'm fading the Bears here, it is a team I absolutely want you to pay attention to. Madsen came from Utah Valley. What did he add? Well, he had a couple starters, including both guards that have missed the first 3 games. They're going to be back. Jalen Tyson, one of their top recruits, wasn't eligible early in the year. He came back from Pacific. He got his eligibility approved immediately, so he was able to play. And then you have maybe one of the best players in the Pac-12. You have a center that he brought, Fairqua Akeem. He was the WAC Player of the Year, WAC Defensive Player of the Year twice, played with Texas Tech last year, and now followed his coach to Cal. So you have immense talent added to this Cal team. So while I'm fading them this game, Cal is a team that I will be looking to back in the next few weeks when they get these parts together and get a few games together under their belt.
All right, great stuff, guys. A little college basketball, a little college football, and a couple of questions here, Ralph, in the chat room, where we're going to start with a game here today with LSU and Texas A&M. No more Jimbo. How would you like it? You write an $81 million check just to get a guy out of the building. So things didn't go very well there with Jimbo and A&M. It feels like there should be some points, at least from LSU in this one, but how would you approach this one today?
Well, there's a reason LSU is the highest line team this year. I tweeted out yesterday, Joe, it was because of Iowa, looking what the average over-under was for Iowa and how it was historically low this year. And LSU is the highest over-under team. So if you look at their over-under lines for the year, they were the highest of all teams at like 69.6 points. Well, LSU's offense is number one in the country, averaging 192 yards more than their opponent's average on the year. So if we look at A&M and we say A&M is allowing 286, well, LSU's averaging 190 yards more than that. When you look at LSU's defense, they are allowing they are number 103, allowing more yards than their opponents allow. A&M, a top 10 defense as far as that's concerned. But, the Jimbo Fisher situation, finishing on the road after you change your head coach, can LSU stop A&M? No. Can A&M stop LSU? Maybe. So the question is, can A&M score enough to keep up with LSU? And in this case, I don't think so. You look at their offense. Yeah, they put up 457 on the road against Mississippi, and they put up 448 against Tulane. But they just don't have enough run game, averaging 4.1 yards per carry for me. So nowhere near making my card, but slight lean for LSU for me.
All right, little lean towards LSU. Jaden Daniels looking to continue to pad his resume, hopefully for a Heisman opportunity there. We also have, Ralph, an interesting question about teams coming off, it looks like NFL teams, heavy favorites coming off of Thanksgiving week with the travel and the feasting, the family time. Is there anything that you have come up with in your travels that shows us maybe we need to be careful here in some spots?
I do not have that stat. Because of Thanksgiving being a day, it's something I can pull out specifically if I go year by year, but it's not data that I have and looked at. So my apologies for that one. I don't like ever not answering a TNA question, but this is one I don't have data for.
Yes. Well, let's go. We do have another one here, I believe, about big time. It seems like there's a couple of fade spots maybe in the NFL this week, but man, there's a lot of coin flip games this Sunday here, Ralph. It kind of head scratching with some mediocre teams. Is there one that stood out to you at all here coming up on Sunday? These are a lot of 500, sub 500 teams in pick'em spots here. Feels very trappish this weekend.
It does. And to be honest with you, I have not done my NFL card with the exception of looking at some totals this week. And I'm going to pop up my TNA guide from Bet On It and just mention this, that, I joke on Twitter, Joe, and I put friends don't let friends bet Service Academy totals over because of the historic unders. So, but when I went to the database, there are four games this year with very, very low totals that we're not accustomed to seeing in the NFL. You have 34 for New England and the New York Giants, 35.5 for Pittsburgh and Cincy, 37 for Cleveland, Denver, and we have, I thought there was one more, so there are three. But I like the Cincy Pittsburgh game under the total. Yes, it's crazy low, and it's 35.5. But when you look at NFL totals that were 37 or less since 2017, Joe, they have covered 18.2%. And why that 18.2% have gone over the total. So 71.8% have gone under the total. 81% have gone under the total.
Wow.
And why it makes perfect sense is this. When you have a very high or very low total, bookmakers don't need to make a line what it should be. They make a line where they're getting equal money on both sides. They know when they post a total of 35.5, there's people that are just going to bet the over because it's so low, and they think there's no way that's going to be such a low-scoring NFL game. I make the total 33. So there's actually value when you look at the lowest numbers, hence a great record to the under. It's sort of like Iowa, Joe. Iowa total yesterday was 25, right? Historic,
Yep.
the lowest total ever in college football. But it probably should have been 22 or 23, but it doesn't need to go that low. Now, Iowa's a unique example because there's enough sharps that you look at Iowa the last 5 weeks and look at their historic totals, and they're all betting unders. But in the NFL, there's so much more public money that the low total should most likely be lower than they are. The high total should most likely be higher than they are. And that's why there's incredible value betting under on these low totals.
Yeah, well, let's tell that to people like me. I had an under on the Jet game yesterday and thought that was just a brilliant play until, I don't know, not one, but 2 pick sixes, Ralph, did us in there. And that thing goes over the total, just absolutely head-scratching. But a lot of overs so far this week in the NFL, Ralph. All Thanksgiving, I think. The public has been cleaning up here so far in these Thursday and Friday games. 4 games already. Heavy favorites, except, of course, for Detroit, who threw up all over themselves. But we're starting to see a lot of overs. I'm not sure that carries over into the weekend as if this is some sort of Week 12 trend. I'm not sure what we've seen the last couple of days is something that we can guarantee we're going to see over the next half a dozen games tomorrow or so.
Yeah, Joe, I agree. There's nothing I would ever take and say, because Thanksgiving games went over, this is it. I mean, unless it's the final game of the regular season, I'm just going to say this. Even with those overs, Joe, if you bet every NFL game under the total this season, you are now 99-68. That is 59.3% against the spread.
Wow. Well, there you go here, guys. Just when you thought they started to figure some things out, I would not be running to the window and playing a whole lot of overs again still this weekend coming up. But I would head over to Ralph's page at WagerTalk.com. Why? Well, he's got 5 college football games ready to go here. We're about 15 minutes away from the opening kickoff here today. Plenty of opportunity for you to partner up with Ralph. And Ralph, you also said, and yes, the pen is mightier than the sword. You got college basketball coming up later today as well on your page.
It is. I'm finalizing a couple games. I'm very conservative. And, I've been handicapping for 40 some years. And there's situations that you're not comfortable with. Either don't bet it or have very low volume. And this Thanksgiving week is one of them. Remember, the kids aren't at school. The student sections are different. The crowds are different. The travel's different. And to be honest with you, I go back and look at my history. I have just not had good success Thanksgiving weekend because of those situations when I'm handicapping. It's not the same handicap dynamic you get during the regular, I'll call it the regular season, or the non-holiday season. So again, it's something I've learned. There's no reason, if you're not 100% comfortable or something is bugging you, or there's teams that you're not reading right or conferences that you're not reading right, it's okay not to bet those games and just leave them off the card. So there's a couple games I'm looking at. I may only have one play. Yes, it's a big card, and yes, there'll be more volume, but it's more important that every play that you release, you are 100% comfortable doing so when it's that time to bet the game.
Yeah, some of the best bets you make are the ones you avoid making altogether at certain spots there. All right, Ralph Michaels, get out of here. Best of luck with your plays here today, tomorrow, and of course, we'll see you again next week on Bet On It and Wager Talk today. And there you have it. Last call. Another episode in the books. It's getting to be crunch time here. College football today, week 13, the end of the regular season. Don't forget, of course, NFL week 12 will wrap up tomorrow. A ton of college basketball, slate NBA games today, NHL games. There's plenty of opportunities to make back maybe some of that money you just spent on Black Friday shopping yesterday. And I would absolutely take advantage with your favorite handicapper for less than $47 a week. You got it now through Cyber Monday. Partner up with them, guys. You get every play, every sport, everything they have. You partner up with them for less than $47 a week. Take advantage of it now through Cyber Monday. And of course, don't forget, you come back and join us again all next week. We'll have you covered. Conference championship games coming into play, week 13 of the NFL season. Plenty of college hoops, NBA action, NHL, and even Andy Lang with his darts should be good to go. So hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. If you haven't done so already, become part of the WagerTalk TV family. And of course, if it's head-to-head action that you are looking for, it is head-to-head action we will give you. So go ahead, hit that subscribe and hit that video on your screen right now, and you will get access to all of those head-to-head videos coming up this weekend with more best bets. Until next week, guys, best of luck with your plays here today. We'll see you again on Monday.